Rev up your engines! All right, these aren't easy to get a hold of, but I finally got a hold of a Rav4 Prime 2021. If you're thinking about buying an electric car or a hybrid car and you crunch the numbers, listen to this. All right, the cheapest Rav4, you're talking about $27,000. This is a Rav4 Prime, $38,000. This particular one's in Massachusetts, and when you total up the feds and when Massachusetts gives you as a rebate, $9,000. So it's not that more costly. Now, the owner admitted to me, he said, if they wouldn't have given me that rebate, I would not have bought this car. But they have, because it's a partially electric vehicle. Now, how electric is it? As you can see under the hood, it's got a gasoline motor. It's also got an electric motor with its 18.1 kilowatt hour battery and regenerative braking. On a highway, he said, you can go maybe 41 miles or so, but he's even gone 50 miles in the city, sometimes over, because it regenerates electricity. And of course, if you know anything about electric motors, they're actually more efficient at lower speed. That's the kicker of those electric motorcycles people buy. They're insane. They can go 145, some of them, miles in town. Going 65 miles an hour, some of them will go about 40 miles and run out of power entirely because they're not made for going full bore, full speed. Thinking about getting an electric car, why not get one like this, where you can toy around with 40 to 50 miles stop and go driving? See how it fits your lifestyle. You do a lot of in-town driving? Maybe you really like it? I know people who actually own small electric cars. They own a small electric car for the city, and they own a gasoline car when they go on trips, right? Well, this is a gasoline car too. If you include the electricity, this thing's got a range of over 600 miles. It could go a long way when you put gasoline in it too. And with the battery boost, this is actually the second fastest car that Toyota now makes. So at the gasoline motor and the electric motor, it's like 301 horsepower. And a smaller vehicle, that's a lot of horsepower. And it's not just pure horsepower. Electric motors get power instantly, so you get so much boost. If you compare this to a straight gasoline engine in terms of acceleration, it's more like a 430 horsepower gas engine, because the electric ones, they give you plenty of oomph. Now, the owner's only got one complaint, and that's these tires that it came with do not have enough traction for the power that the engine has. And they'll be skidding and sliding if you take off too fast. Now, I'm used to that with customers' cars. If you remember the Toyota Supra that I filmed a few months ago, that he had 1,250 horsepower in, that thing wouldn't stay on the road. And he had some pretty expensive tires. But this isn't nearly that kind of horsepower. Plus, all-wheel drive, so all four wheels are going. You could buy better tires with better grip. You can always add on to that. A lot of guys, if you're not driving fast, you don't care. If you're going to drive faster, you get some softer racing type tires. They won't last as long, but you get more traction. You can always play with that stuff yourself. Now, if you want a little interesting side story, the owner previously owned a Subaru WRX, and he said he could never break traction on it, and he didn't like it because it wasn't fast enough, and he loves this Rav4 Prime because he says it's got a ton more acceleration. And Subaru WRXs, they're not slow vehicles, so don't think this is a slow vehicle. Like I said, this is the second fastest vehicle that Toyota presently makes. Being an all-wheel drive vehicle, it has a lot of advantages. This one, of course, is a little bit higher. You're not going to get stuck in the snow. The electric motors have really good traction. It's not a bad idea to get one of these vehicles in all-wheel drive. It's already a hybrid vehicle, so parts of it are electrified, parts of it have batteries in it. So what's the difference that you get in all-wheel drive? Some of the wheels are driven electronically, some of them are driven by gasoline. And I gotta say, Toyota pulled all the stops off here. This is all stock. He hasn't done anything to it. For your tech guys, the rear is all electric. It's not physically connected to the front. So the electric drive can be controlled exactly as you want it. So it's like a front-wheel drive vehicle that has electronic rear-wheel drive that can be controlled by computer any way the computer wants to control it. And sure, it's complicated, but hey, it's a Toyota. How often do these things break? Not very often. It's got the fancy engine to get the most power it can, the electric motor, the high voltage, and everything on it. But even though technically Honda came out with the first hybrid car, Toyota came soon after, and they just blew Honda away. And they've been making Priuses for 20-something years now. They have those things down pat. They know what they're doing. It's not like you're going out and buying some electric car from a manufacturer who's been making them a couple of years or maybe just started making them, and they have no idea what kind of problems they're going to have. This is Toyota, and it's a very conservative company. They don't put this stuff out and sell it in the United States till they've tried it out. They do their testing in other countries most of the time. They know which side of the bread is buttered. Now, if you're worried about warranty, the hybrid system is 96 months or 100,000 miles, and the battery is 120 months or 150,000 miles. They're standing behind their stuff. Hey, Tesla only gives a 100,000 mile warranty on their battery, and they cost a small fortune. The price of this thing, it's about half of what that Model Y I checked out the other day was. And of course, that's a fully electric car. You run out of power, you're SOL. This thing, the motor just kicks in, and you can go 600 miles total. So let's take it for a spin. He comes from a family of pilots, so he's added even more information with this little device here. He's serious about his car, and hey, he spent a lot of time before he bought this thing. So now we're going in electric mode. Away we go. Certainly is quiet, and I'll tell you one thing off the bat. This thing rides a heck of a lot smoother than that Model Y did. It doesn't have the big heavy battery, of course. It's got a battery, but it's not outrageous. And again, it's a Toyota Rav4, so you're pretty high off the ground. You got good clearance, you can see. I'd be kind of leery driving around in a low-slung Tesla if it was a big floodwater, and this thing, no, I wouldn't think twice. It's up high enough, you're not gonna have a problem. Okay, this is the second fastest Toyota that's out now, so let's see how fast it is. Let's go. Yes, it indeed has a lot of speed. But the driver slowed down because it's very high tech. And the machine knows how fast he's going. It also knows what the speed limit is. And if you go too fast, it will warn you that you're going too fast. I have to say, the price difference between this and a regular Rav4 is an awful lot, but with the $9,000 credit that they get from the government in the state of Massachusetts, it's just a few $1,000s more for some interesting technology. You can try out an electric car. So what's this, Scotty, saying something good about electric cars? Well, it's a partially electric car. An electric car with training wheels. You can decide. In town, if it goes 50 miles, you might be totally happy. Then you got to take a trip. You don't need two cars. You can take it on a trip and put gasoline in it. It's a good way to try it out for your lifestyle. And the advantage of this is, of course, it has a smaller battery than a pure electric car. If you plug it into, say, a dryer socket, 4.5 hours will be a full charge. If you plug it into your house, it takes 12 hours. Take into consideration if you had a Tesla and you plugged it into your house at 120, it would take days to charge that car up because it's got a humongous battery in it. Now, these things are so popular now, you're not going to get a deal buying one. He paid list price. He was adamant he wasn't going to pay outrageous overage or anything, but he got it and paid list price, and with the $9,000 off for the tax credit stuff, hey, that's a fair deal. A few thousand more than the regular one. Do you really want an electric car? Maybe you'll say, yes, you do, and then in the future buy a fully electric car. Or maybe you'll say, what a pain in the rear end, and you'll continue to drive this thing and put gasoline in it. I would rather have a choice in a car I was driving myself. Because, hey, driving cross country to visit grandkids, if you got an electric car, it's going to be a real hassle if they ever do get a bunch of charging stations, if it's popular, because there's going to be waiting lines. And even when there aren't waiting lines, an hour or more. So something like this, to me, it's like the best of both worlds. And since it's a Toyota, it's not like you're buying technology that's going to fall apart in front of you, and then you're going to say, I wish I never bought that thing. You don't see too many Toyota owners saying, I wish I would have never bought that Toyota. And these Rav4s, they sell like hotcakes anyways. Everybody wants the SUVs. Hey, not a bad way to start looking at electric car technology. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Drew by Doobie Doo says, Kia Soul. It's got 197,000 miles, manual tranny. Should I run away? And they want $3 grand for it. Well, I wouldn't run away. The weakest things on those are their automatic transmissions in 2010. That's got a standard. So, they could be decent cars. I'm not a fan of the quality of Kias, especially in 2010. Take it to a mechanic. Let him do a wet and dry compression test of that engine. And if he says the engine's in excellent shape, offer the guy 2 grand. See what it'll take. Maybe it'll take 2, maybe it'll take 2,500, whatever. It could still be a decent run-around car. It's not going to go 3, 4, 500,000 miles like a Toyota or a Honda, but for that price, with a standard transmission, if the engine's in good shape, it could be a good knock-around car. And today, for 2,500, 3 grand, you're not going to get much in a car. The prices have gone astronomical. So it could be a decent knock-around car if a mechanic says the engine is still good. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.